You ever wonder if history actually repeats itself? I mean, not just in a vague, oh, that's happened before kind of way, but if there's a predictable, almost scientific cycle to how great powers rise and fall. Well, believe it or not, about 700 years ago, a thinker named Ibn Khaldun laid out the entire blueprint in his masterpiece, the Muqaddimah. Let's get into it.
So this is our guy, Ibn Khaldun. Now, back in the 14th century, he's looking at all the history books, and he sees a massive problem. He sees historian after historian just repeating these wild stories, these obvious falsehoods, without a single critical thought. He didn't want to just be another storyteller. He wanted to be a scientist of history, to figure out what was really going on underneath it all.
And that was the big question for him. How do you actually sift through the noise and find the truth about the past? His answer was pretty revolutionary for the time. He said it's not enough to just check who wrote what. No, you have to understand the fundamental laws that govern human society itself. So he decided to create an entirely new science just to do that.
And the name he gave this new field? Well, it perfectly sums up just how ambitious he was.
He called it Ilm al-Umran, literally the science of civilization. And get this, he was basically inventing sociology hundreds of years before anyone in the West was even thinking about it. His goal wasn't just to write down what happened, it was to find the actual physics of society, the universal rules that explain why some people build empires and why those same empires always fall apart.
See, for Ibn Khaldun, all the chaos of history, the wars, the kings, the collapses, it wasn't random at all. He believed that underneath it all, there was a grand, repeating pattern, an engine, if you will. And this whole pattern was driven by one single, powerful, invisible force that he was the first to really identify and name.
And that brings us to the absolute heart of his theory. It's this powerful social energy he called Asabiyya. So what on earth is Asabiyya? Well, think of it as a kind of supercharged group loyalty. It's more than just teamwork. It's this incredibly intense social cohesion, a shared spirit that bonds a group so tightly that they act like a single organism. It's the secret sauce that lets a small group achieve things that should be totally impossible. And to show us where this powerful force comes from, Ibn Khaldun gives us this perfect comparison. On one side, you have the Bedouins, nomadic people forged by the brutal realities of desert life. To survive, they need that intense group solidarity. They have to rely on each other or they die. On the other side, you have the city dwellers. They're softened by comfort. They rely on walls and laws and paid guards for protection. Their Asabiyya, that raw, powerful group spirit, it's all but gone. Okay, so you've got this tough group out on the fringes, full of this powerful Asabiyya. So what happens next? Well, this kicks off the first act of the cycle, their rise to power.
And here it is, the whole cycle in a nutshell. It's a beautiful and kind of brutal pattern. It all starts with hardship, right? That forges a group's toughness and creates that powerful Asabiyya. Their incredible unity then lets them conquer an older, softer state and start their own dynasty. But then comes the comfort. They settle in, enjoy the luxury. Over just a few generations, that unity, that Asabiyya, just melts away. And finally, the dynasty becomes weak, hollow, and ripe for the picking by a new, hungry group that's full of Asabiyya. And the wheel just keeps on turning.
And it's so important to get this. Asabiyya isn't just for survival. It has a goal. It's a force that drives a group towards power. Establishing a kingdom, a dynasty, that's the ultimate expression of a group's solidarity. It's the moment they reach the absolute peak of their power. But of course, once you're at the peak, there's only one way to go.
And this is where Ibn Khaldun's theory gets really interesting, almost like a paradox. The very thing that Asabiyya achieves, the victory, the wealth, the comfort, is the very thing that starts to poison it from within.
He even had a special word for this corrosive force: taraf. Taraf is that state of luxury and decadence that always follows success. It's the comfort that makes people soft. It's the kryptonite that slowly but surely destroys the Asabiyya that built the kingdom in the first place.
And he says the signs of this decay are always the same. You see the rulers becoming totally detached from the people they rule. You see crazy, extravagant spending. Taxes start creeping up to pay for it all, and most importantly, the descendants of the tough conquerors, they grow up soft. They've never known hardship, so that vital need for group solidarity, that Asabiyya, is completely forgotten.
This right here might be the most powerful summary of his entire idea. The first generation, the ones forged in hardship, they have the fire to build something new. The second generation, they still remember the stories of the struggle, so they maintain it. But by the third generation, they're born into luxury. They have no memory of the sacrifice. They enjoy the benefits of the empire, but they've lost the grit, the unity, the asabiyah needed to defend it. And so, they destroy it.
So once that asabiyah is gone, the final act is set. The dynasty might look strong on the outside, but really, it's become a hollow shell, just waiting for the cycle to complete itself.
You know, the state might still have its grand palaces and a full treasury, but its spirit is completely gone. Without that unifying force of asabiyah, it can't really defend itself anymore. And all the while, somewhere out on the periphery in those harsh lands, a new group is getting stronger, tougher, their asabiyah is peaking, and they're watching, just waiting for their moment.
And the loss of that spirit is everything. It's a psychological collapse. As Ibn Khaldun put it himself, living a life of ease and submission just breaks the vigor of a people. A group that has lost its fight, that has forgotten its strength, can't be expected to rule anything.
So, what's the big takeaway from this incredible theory from 700 years ago? Well, its real power is that it gives us this timeless lens to look at the huge sweep of history, and maybe, just maybe, to look at our own world too.
When you really boil it all down, his message is this: history isn't just a list of random events. It's a living, breathing cycle of growth and decay. And the engine driving it all isn't some great man or a stroke of luck. It's the completely natural rise and fall of social solidarity. Hardship creates unity, unity creates civilization, and civilization creates the comfort that, inevitably, destroys unity.
Which leaves us with this huge, profound paradox at the very heart of the Muqaddimah. Is it possible that the absolute pinnacle of a society's achievement, creating a stable, safe, comfortable civilization, is also the very thing that plants the seeds of its own destruction? It's a heavy question, and it's just as relevant now as it was in the 14th century.